Namaskar. Hello and welcome to Sunset TV. I am Namrata Singh and you are watching Question Hour. This show focuses on important questions raised by members in both houses of parliament concerning matters of national interest. In the Lok Sabha's Question Hour today, members from diverse parties raised questions concerning 18 ministries, seeking detailed replies from the respective ministers. Let's now take a closer look at some of the significant questions whose replies were presented.
Lok Sabha MP Jai Prakash asked the Minister of Information and Broadcasting whether the government has explored the possibilities of establishing an international animation powerhouse in the country and the time by which the union government is likely to roll out its decision. The ministry in its reply informed the House that the Union Cabinet has approved the setting up of an Indian Institute of Creative Technologies with the aim to enhance the capabilities in content creation for the young creators so as to develop and hone the skill sets required by this industry. This shall support digital creators and consequently augment the creator economy. With the view to promote co-production of films between Indian filmmakers and filmmakers of different countries, including in the animation and post-production sector, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has entered into 17 audio-visual co-production agreements with various countries to support collaborations between the filmmakers of the two countries and provide them institutional support, including financial incentives. Indian Cine Hub promotes ease of doing business by providing a single window approval process that facilitates the international productions with support for locations and resources. This sector holds immense promise globally, and India's growing digital and social media footprint will be strengthened by the opportunities of innovation, growth and acceleration provided by IICT. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has announced to organize the first edition of the World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit in New Delhi from February 5th to 9th, 2025. Aims to play a pivotal role in promoting India's media and entertainment industry, including the animation sector, on the global stage by serving as a strategic platform for international collaborations and investment. This summit is a transformative, one-of-its-kind initiative that positions Indian industry as a global content hub through convergence of all segments of the industry on a single platform. As a precursor of Waves Create in India Challenges, Season 1 has been launched as a platform to showcase Indian talent and foster innovation in various creative fields. Currently, 27 challenges are being run across the M&E sector in fields such as animation, gaming, comics, films, broadcasting, music, new media, emerging technologies, etc. Thousands of students and professionals have registered under these challenges for various competitions. Lok Sabha MP Arun Govil asked the Minister of Information and Broadcasting the existing mechanism to check telecast of vulgar content through social media platforms illegally. He also asked whether government proposes to make existing laws more stringent, keeping in view the fact that the said laws are not much effective to stop misuse of these platforms.
आज सोशल मीडिया और ओटीटी प्लेटफॉर्म का जो युग है, इसमें जो पुराने कई इंस्टीट्यूशंस थे, डेमोक्रेटिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस, और जो एक प्रेस का एक प्रकार था, जिस प्रकार से एडिटोरियल कंटेंट होता था, एडिटोरियल चेक होता था, कोई भी चीज़ छप रही है वो सही है गलत है, उसके बारे में पूरा एक निर्णय लेके मीडिया के अंदर लाया जाता था, वो एडिटोरियल चेक आज ख़त्म हो गया है। उस एडिटोरियल चेक के ख़त्म होने के कारण आज सोशल मीडिया एक तरफ से फ्रीडम ऑफ प्रेस का एक बहुत बड़ा माध्यम है, लेकिन साथ ही साथ दूसरी तरफ एक अनकंट्रोल्ड एक्सप्रेशन जिसमें कई तरह के वल्गर कंटेंट वगैरह भी आते हैं। अभी जो एग्जिस्टिंग कानून है माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, उसको निश्चित तौर पे और कड़ा करने की ज़रूरत है। जिन ज्योग्राफी से, जिन कंट्रीज से सोशल मीडिया के ये प्लेटफॉर्म्स निकले हैं, वहाँ की सेंसिटिविटी और अपने देश की सेंसिटिविटी में बहुत बड़ा फ़र्क है। और ये इस तरह का डिबेट आज दुनिया के करीब करीब हर देश में, इसीलिए मेरा निवेदन है माननीय अध्यक्ष जी कि जो अपनी पार्लियामेंट की स्टैंडिंग कमेटी है वो भी इस विषय को उठाए और इस विषय पे समाज में कंसेंसस हो और इसमें और कड़े कानून बने।
Lokasabha members Manoj Tiwari, Beswaraj Pomay, Shankar Lalwani and Tejaswi Surya asked the Minister of Earth Sciences whether the government has taken measures to increase the weather radars in the country to enhance accuracy of forecasting system under Mission Mausam, and if so, the details thereof. They also asked whether the current weather radars effectively predict high to very high rain in a specific area in order to warn and prevent natural. The ministry in its reply informed the House that the newly launched Mission Mausam is intended to augment the Doppler weather radar network across the country for complete radar coverage and to enhance the accuracy of the weather forecasting system. Supply order for 34 DWRs have already been placed, and additionally, the Expenditure Finance Committee has approved the procurement of 53 more DWRs. The ministry also informed that the India Meteorological Department has a high-end DWR network that utilizes well-proven world-class technologies like dual polarization, solid-state power amplifier, etc. The House was further informed that surface-based observations and DWR networks monitor high to very high rainfall over a location. The DWR observations are available every 10 minutes in the form of cloud images and the velocity of winds over the region under the radar range. It helps monitor and issue a nowscast of associated heavy rainfall activities at a very short duration of up to 1 hour. DWR networks will not provide a forecast or prediction of rain. IMD issues various outlooks, forecasts, warnings for the public and disaster management authorities to prepare for extreme weather events, including high to very high rainfall using DWR, in situ observations and models. While issuing the alert, a suitable color code is used to highlight the impact of this severe weather expected and signal disaster management about the course of action to be taken regarding an impending disaster weather event. IMD issues the necessary warnings and advisories well in advance for preparedness, including high to very high rainfall throughout the year. Lok Sabha MPs Kriti Devi Debabarman and Manish Jaiswal asked the Minister of New and Renewable Energy the specific initiatives undertaken by the ministry to implement and achieve its goal of making India a global hub for green hydrogen production, its usage and export under the National Green Hydrogen Mission. They also asked key targets and milestones set under this mission and their expected timelines. Steps being taken to encourage private sector participation and international collaboration in green hydrogen projects. The ministry in its reply informed the House that it is implementing the National Green Hydrogen Mission with an objective to make India a global hub of production, usage and export of green hydrogen and its derivatives. This mission was approved by Union Cabinet in January 2023 with an overall outlay of 19,744 crore rupees. The mission has the following components: Strategic Interventions for Green Hydrogen Transition Program, which includes incentives for manufacturing of electrolyzers and production of green hydrogen, pilot projects for green steel, mobility, shipping, decentralized energy applications, hydrogen production for biomass, hydrogen storage, etc. Development of green hydrogen hubs, support for infrastructure development, establishing a robust framework of regulations and standards, research and development projects, skill development initiatives, and public awareness and outreach activities. The expected outcomes of the mission by 2030 are as follows: India's green hydrogen production capacity to reach approximately 5 MMT per annum, contributing to reduction in dependence on import of fossil fuels. Achievement of mission targets is expected to reduce a cumulative 1 lakh crore rupees worth of fossil fuel imports by 2030. This mission is likely to leverage over 8 lakh crore rupees total investments and create over 6 lakh jobs. Nearly 50 MMT per annum of CO2 emissions are expected to be averted through production and use of the targeted quantum of green hydrogen. The mission is also expected to promote multilateral engagement and collaboration with various international efforts in hydrogen and fuel cells. The collaboration among academia, universities, technical institutions, industry and research laboratories are being facilitated under bilateral and multilateral collaboration programs in the field of green hydrogen for result-oriented technology development, knowledge creation and dissemination. The Ministry has established cooperation frameworks in the field of hydrogen through MOU, letters of intent, joint declarations of intent with Australia, Finland, France, Germany, Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Uzbekistan. In addition to the above, under the Strategic Clean Energy Partnership with the United States, an India-US Hydrogen Task Force has been formed. Further, green or clean hydrogen has also been identified as a focus area under the India-US New and Emerging Renewable Energy Technology Action Platform. India-Norway Task Force on Energy has also identified green hydrogen as an area of cooperation. Lok Sabha MPs Vijay Kumar and Manikam Tagore asked the Minister of Science and Technology the manner in which Bio-E3 policy will specifically accelerate technology development and commercialization in the biomanufacturing sector and the key performance indicators for measuring its success. The steps taken or being taken to establish manufacturing and bio-AI hubs as well as biofoundries under the Bio-E3 policy, the manner in which these initiatives contribute to the expansion of India's skilled workforce and job creation. The Ministry in its reply informed the House that the Bio-E3 policy aims to accelerate development of technologies for bio-based products and their commercialization by setting up of bio-enablers that include bio-artificial intelligence hubs, biofoundries and biomanufacturing hubs across the country. Bio-AI hubs will be set up to augment research and innovation for the development of technologies for bio-based products across the identified thematic sectors, subsectors of biomanufacturing, by powering data-driven research and AI-informed predictive analytics. The biofoundries and biomanufacturing hubs will aim at setting up of infrastructure or facilities for augmenting scale-up of technologies for bio-based products. The key performance indicators for meaningful success have been identified in terms of setting up of biofoundries and biomanufacturing hubs. DBT BIRAC have issued a joint call for proposals to invite applications for setting up of Moolankur bioenablers, biofoundries and biomanufacturing hubs in both academia and industry. The bioenablers will also provide training and internship for building human resources with the required interdisciplinary, cross-functional technical skills to foster biomanufacturing.
Well, that is all I have for you in this edition of Question Hour. Stay tuned and thank you for watching Sunset TV.